So here's our team today. Again, I'm very happy to have Steve Bittner join us from our professional services organization, the VP of Professional Services. And this is our team that's in place. Every account manager has a set of assigned customers that we are focused on. And so we'll get started here. I wanted to just talk about the license type so you understand where earned value management occurs. There's a project time and project expense license types. You might have one or the other of these, but these are primarily focused on the time license, timekeeping, and reporting on that, as well as project expense and expense reporting and reporting on those expenses. Now, if you have both of those, there's the project tracking license that has project time, time reporting, and time management, expense reporting, but in addition, it has three other features associated with the project tracking license. And the one is project costing, or being able to report on burden cost or true cost. There's the earned value management piece that we're going to talk about today. So that really means that you need to have at least the project tracking license to have the earned value reporting mechanism and process in place for the tracking license. And then finally, with the tracking license is the billing and invoicing piece, being able to bill, track the bills and the revenue with the project tracking license. Now, the Premier license has all of these features that I've just discussed and the ability to do resource management, skills management, as well as forecasting or planning for future, understanding what your future might look like with costs and resource management with hours. And then with our latest release coming out, the 9.6 release that you're hearing a buzz about, we do have what's called a Portfolio Plus, where we will have the planned licenses available at a reduced rate to be able to add to your portfolio license, to be able to plan unnamed resources, if you will, for your forward-looking scenarios. So again, I just wanted to point out that this earned value management feature, this topic that we're talking about today, is with the project tracking license and also available with the project portfolio license. Everything in tracking is available with the portfolio license. So if you have any questions about that, just be sure to ask. So EVM, I did want to take a poll really quickly, if you wouldn't mind. Let me set it up here. And I wanted to find out who right now is currently using earned value reporting in your Unanet. So I've launched the poll here. So it will take just a second to let us know how many of you are using earned value reporting in your Unanet. It's great to see here that looks about 10% of you are using earned value management in Unanet. About 90% of you are not. So I'm really excited to be able to share this topic with you, and that you're interested in learning more about how you can effectively use your Unanet. So without further ado, so we can stay on time, I'm going to turn this over to Steve.
Thanks, Sherry. We're going to go ahead and switch screens here, so give me a second to get set up.
And I'm going to close the poll here.
Okay. And did you pass over control to me yet, Sherry?
I have.
Okay, it's not showing up with the ability to show my screen. You want to do that one more time?
Let's see here. I'm going to make me the presenter.
Okay, there we go.
You got it? Do you have any?
Now you are the presenter now, so
and I'm going to switch it back again.
Yep.
And Steve. How's that?
Very strange. We may have to go off of your presentation because it is not switching to me.
Yeah, and it says here that you're the presenter. So.
And I have no way of showing my screen. There it goes. It just happened.
Okay.
Here we go.
A little bit of a delay there. Okay.
Okay, good. Let me get into presentation mode. Okay, great.
Here we go.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for joining today. I know everybody's busy and it's tough to make time for these webinars, but our goal today is really to have everybody get a little bit of information out of this that's useful to the job that they do every day. So it appears, based on the polling, which is what we expected, there's a very small subset of people that actually use earned value in their Unanet system, and maybe they just use earned value but not in Unanet. So today is sort of a primer about earned value, and then we're going to also discuss a little bit about the different features of Unanet that you can leverage to support your earned value projects. So to start with, what is earned value? When you think about the projects that you run today, you're often looking at them with respect to maybe the schedule. Are you on time? Are you going to deliver this set of activities that you've committed to do? Maybe it's a fixed price engagement. Are you going to deliver on time? And maybe you have milestones that you're working towards. But there's that other dimension, which many of you look at, which is the cost. As you deliver, as you are working through your schedule and the activities and completing them, how are you doing from a cost performance? Are you on schedule? Are you under budget or over budget? Well, earned value is really just a method of looking at project performance on these two dimensions, cost and schedule. Very straightforward. It actually was initiated, earned value, in the government, but specifically for the Department of Defense back in the 60s to really manage some of these very large, hundreds of million, 50 million, billion-dollar projects. And in about 1998, an ANSI standard, the ANSI being the American National Standards Institute, created the initial ANSI standard for earned value management, and you can look it up online. It's ANSI 748, and then it was reaffirmed in August 2002 and June 2007 as ANSI 748B. So if you're curious about those standards and want to go out and Google that, you can find information on those standards. Okay, so earned value is based on 32 criteria in a variety of different areas, and these are the major 5 areas that earned value is tracked against. Your organization, how you organize your project into your work breakdown schedule, how you plan, schedule, and budget. There are a number of accounting considerations associated with earned value. Then there's obviously the analysis and management reports that allow you to inspect your performance from both a cost and schedule perspective. And then it's all about how you manage your baseline, how you update your baseline as you have delays or if you have costs changes and so forth. So these 32 criteria are defined, and Sherry, we do have that document that we might want to send out to the people on this webinar that describes how Unanet can support these 32 criteria. So what we're going to do today is look at a very simple project so we can understand the concept of earned value. So let's take a look at this slide here. What we have, consider this project that is 10 days long. So these little blue squares at the bottom represent days. And let's suggest that we are going to spend our anticipated cost per day is going to be $1 per day. So we have a 10-day project. Our anticipated cost is $1 per day, and we anticipate being finished on the project in 10 days. Okay, so our budget at complete, one of the terms we'll start to talk about, is $10. Okay? So a very simple project. Now obviously projects don't line up this way. They have variable costs across time, but this will allow us to really kind of dig into the different tenets of earned value. So next slide. Let's say the red line now is where we are on the calendar. So you may recall that we started on day 1, and then we're 5 days into the project. We're at the end of the 5th day. So from a schedule perspective, purely calendar perspective, we are 50% of the way through this project. Okay. Let's also, you see these other color down here that goes 1 through 4, the actual cost. Let's suggest that we have spent $4 on this project so far. So we're 50% of the way through the schedule, through the calendar schedule of the project, and we've spent $4 in cost. So what does this tell us about the project? Does it tell us that we're ahead of schedule? Does it tell us that we're under cost? It really tells us almost nothing. All we know is that we're 50% of the way through the calendar schedule, but and we spent $4 in cost, but we have no idea where we are from a percent complete on the project. So we don't know if we're ahead of schedule, if we're over budget or under budget. So that's a problem. So let's take a look at this project again and add a few more dimensions to it. So we have the same blue, which is 1 through 10, which represents the days, if you will, the scheduled days, the calendar days of the project. The second line are the costs that we have incurred up to this point in time. So again, we're after the 5th day, and we've spent $4 in cost. The new dimension we're bringing in is the earned value here. So let's say that we have we're 60% of the way through the work. So although we're only halfway through the calendar of the project, we've actually accomplished 60% of the work. When you add this dimension to it, you can start to derive a lot of really useful information. So let's take a look at what we can derive from this. If we go to the definitions above, in earned value management, planned value is the cost of the work we anticipated completing at this point. So what is that? It is 5 units. We anticipated halfway through the project having spent, in essence, $5 of cost. That's what we anticipated because we anticipated spending $1 a day on this project. And we're halfway through from a calendar day perspective. But our actual cost is $4. Okay? So what does that tell us? Our earned value is our percent complete, which is 60%, times our budget at complete. Our budget at complete is 10. So we've actually, our earned value is 6 units. Okay? And that's represented by the green boxes at the bottom. So now let's bring in a couple of indexes or indices. We have schedule performance and cost performance. And if you start to really think about this, and you're going to get this presentation after we're done, you can start to really understand what these are representing. So our schedule performance is our earned value, okay, we've gotten 60% of the way through our project, over our planned value. So we've actually earned 6 units. That's how far we've gotten through the project from a percent complete perspective, and we had only anticipated to get to 50%. So our schedule performance index is 1.2. It's above 1. So above 1 means that we're a little bit ahead of schedule. Okay? The cost performance is the earned value, again, 60%, 6 units, over the actual costs. So we anticipated spending $1 a day. So at the point that we were 60% through this project from a calendar perspective, we anticipated spending $6. But we've only spent $4. So our cost performance is 1.5. Again, above 1, that's a good thing. That means that we're under budget. So based on having not only the schedule or plan value, which is how you've budgeted your resources across a project, how you've allocated them both from a labor perspective and potentially an other direct cost or ODC perspective, by having that, by tracking your actual costs, labor and ODCs, and this is the big question mark here, tracking your earned value or the percentage that you have completed tasks within your project, you can then determine how you're doing both from a schedule performance perspective and a cost performance perspective. So Sherry, I may just stop for 1 second and ask if any questions have come in so far.
No questions so far. They're listening intently.
Okay. So everything is so crystal clear, I guess. So let's keep going. So this is one example. So this is the project I want to be on, the one where we're ahead of schedule and under budget. Obviously, that's not the case in many projects. So let's take a look at another project. In this case, and we're always going to be, I've had it marked, we're 50% from a calendar perspective through the project, and our costs at this point are $3. And we're 40% of the way through the work, represented by their earned value here. Okay? So you'll notice that our schedule performance is below 1, meaning we're behind schedule, and our cost performance is above 1, meaning that from a cost perspective, we're actually spending less money than we anticipated. So what does this tell you about the project? It tells us that we're behind schedule and under cost, so we can apply more resource, And if one resource can pull the schedule in better, then we can do that and still stay within the costs, the anticipated or scheduled costs of the project. So that is what it's telling us. So, each project has its own requirements. Their schedule may be the most important thing. There may be some hard deadline that you must achieve. So at all costs, you're going to meet the schedule performance, and you'll sacrifice some of the cost performance for that. But those are decisions that each individual project manager will have to make. Let's look at one more. In this case, this is the no-win case. We are halfway through the project, again by calendar. Our costs are more than we anticipated at this point in time, and we're actually right on in line with what we anticipated completing halfway through the project, where 50% of the work has been completed. So you'll see that the schedule performance here is exactly one, meaning we're right on schedule, and we're a little bit over budget. We spent more than we anticipated. So we just potentially underestimated the cost of this project, and it's just the way it is. Okay. So those are a few scenarios of a very simple project, just to give you an understanding of what these different metrics are, what these different definitions are for earned value. Okay, so again, this is just a reiteration of those definitions. So the planned value is often called the budgeted cost of work scheduled, and again, it's based on our schedule and how much we had anticipated spending at this point based on the current date. The actual costs are just that, the actual cost to date of your project. The budget at complete, or BAC, represents the program or project budget, and then the earned value is the budget at complete times the percent complete on the activities of the project. Okay, so let's move on. So now Unanet, so everybody on this call is a Unanet customer, so you've probably seen a lot of these screens. Some of you may have set up a work breakdown structure in Unanet, others may not, but Unanet supports a work breakdown structure where you can have a hierarchical setup of your task, and you can see that we have this project support as a primary task with these subtasks under it and so forth. When you first go into your task list in Unanet, you're probably very familiar with this, where it shows you the task names and then whether it's active, inactive, begin date, and end date. Very simple view of those tasks. Now hopefully most of you also are aware that if you go back to the search tab of that same task list, there is a wealth of other attributes that are available for you to display in the list. And they are all listed here. So these are all the task attributes at your disposal can be displayed here. You also have the ability to filter on which tasks you want to see, either by name or by these metrics here, or by these constraining elements here. So if you just want to look at suppress completed tasks, you can do that. You can suppress inactive tasks. And then down here, there is also the ability to display any actuals against these tasks, along with calculated percent completes and calculated estimated totals with all this other information. Okay? So based on what you select, if we then go back to the task list, we now see a much greater number of columns representing those other values. So although this is just a method of listing tasks within your system, it's also a mini report in that you can also see a number of other attributes of each of these tasks. Okay? So another very useful feature of the task list is the double edit. The double edit pencil here in this red circle means edit all of these tasks in a single edit window. And I'm going to go to the next screen and it'll show you how that happens. So by clicking on the double edit, we can now edit any of these values at the same time. So when you're working on a project where you're supporting earned value, your goal is to set up the work breakdown structure with these tasks that are granular enough to identify a relatively small work unit. You know, there are a lot of different methods out there. You might suggest that no more than a 40 or 80 hour task be that's the largest task you can have within your work breakdown structure, so that any one task if you identify the percent complete, does not bias the overall view of your reports. So in this view, we have the opportunity to put in percent completes at each of these different task levels. And this might be done in a combined project meeting that you have once a week where you're sitting down and you're working with your team to identify the percent complete on each of these tasks. You might use a 0-100% rule that only after the task is complete do you set it to 100%. Otherwise, it's always at 0%. You might have a 0, 50, 100 percentage also. But the bottom line is this screen is a method of facilitating the entry of your percent completes, which again are critical to the earned value reports, because it is these percent completes that it draws from to calculate how you're doing from a schedule performance and a cost performance. Okay? Okay. So what we've covered so far is we've seen the dynamic views that are available within the task list. Okay. We've seen that you can do a multi-edit view of these tasks, which some of you may have already been aware of, but I use this all the time for tracking projects that we manage in Unanet. You can see not only your budgets, but the actual work performed. It's sort of a mini report in this list. And it also does some calculations. I'm going to go back one screen. These calculated percent complete is kind of giving you an idea of what the percent complete is based on the actual hours worked against the calculated estimated total. So if there was a linear relationship between the hours worked and the percent complete, it would be 43%. But in reality, that's not really the case. The percent complete here is one that is hand-keyed or entered by your project management team to represent the true percent complete of this task. But this might be useful for some information about where you stand from an hours perspective. Okay. Okay, so next, we're going to take a look at a couple reports in Unanet in a minute, but there are reports in Unanet that will give you a point-in-time analysis or a kind of a time phase analysis of how you're doing on a project. So for instance, if you just want to see how you're performing at this point in time in Unanet from an earned value perspective, you can run reports that will show you that. We also have reports that show you how you are performing from the cost and schedule performance on a monthly basis, if that's how you want to set it up. And the way in which you do that is to save budget snapshots. A budget snapshot is the storing or recording of all the budgets, percent completes, begin dates and end dates of all your tasks or projects within the budget tabs of those two entities in the database. You do that under budget snapshots here within the context of the project. So you look up the project, you go to budget snapshots, you go to manage, and you can save them. Okay? So you can save a budget snapshot of all your tasks and budget within the database at a point in time. So in order to see these kind of time-phased reports, you capture it, let's say, on a monthly basis. Maybe it's the last day of the month. You capture a budget snapshot. Next month, budget snapshot. This allows you to go back in time and see what your performance was on those dates. Okay, and we're going to look at a report here in a second. And here it is. So here is one such report. And what we're showing here are the schedule performance index, which is the yellow line, and the cost performance index, which is the blue line. Now from the prior diagrams, you may recall that a schedule or cost performance that is equal to or above 1, here's 1, indicates that you're ahead of schedule or under budget. As the numbers drop below 1, it indicates that you are behind schedule or over budget. So let's take a look at this diagram, this time phase diagram that we see here. Each of these points in time are a saved budget snapshot, okay? And you can see I've done it in January. It looks like I'm doing it weekly here, okay, to give you a feel. So as what I'm observing here with respect to the cost performance is my cost performance at least decreased here, but over time it's going down, which means that I'm a little bit under budget here and I'm getting to be a little bit over budget here. But what you'll notice is that there's a direct correlation, at least in this project, of when I'm spending more money. I'm spending more money. Maybe I brought in an additional resource on the project so that I can boost the schedule. My schedule performance is going up. So this is a pretty typical thing that you would see. As my cost performance decreases, meaning I'm spending more money, my schedule performance is increasing. So right about here, they're both getting pretty close to 1, which means about right here I'm on schedule, but I'm a little bit over cost at this point in time, and maybe that's okay for this project. So if you take advantage of the budget snapshots in Unanet and get into a rigor, a process with your project management team, you will have access to this report. Okay? Okay, so now for the earned value report. So whereas the last report kind of showed us our performance over time, this is a snapshot of our performance as it stands right now based on the date range that we put in. And what this is doing is it is showing me all of the different elements of earned value against all of the tasks that I have displayed here. So you'll notice here are my percent completes right here. And then coming across, we have our plan value. So you may recall that the plan value is the amount of cost we anticipated at this point in the schedule. So we anticipated spending $5,400 at this point in the schedule. Okay? Our earned value is $4,500. So based on being 75% of the way complete on this task, okay, our earned value is $4,500. So in reality, what we're seeing here is that we plan to have earned a little bit more than we actually have. So we're a little bit behind schedule on this from a cost perspective. Okay? And our actual cost of work performed is here. So we actually spent $3,600. Okay? So from all this information, you can start to see our SPI and CPI. So our schedule performance is a little weak. We're a little bit behind schedule, but our costs, as you can see, are low. So we anticipate that we could apply a little bit more resource to this project to get back on schedule. Okay? Now we're showing this at an individual task level, but we also have the total roll-ups here at the bottom. Okay? So this is one of the standard earned value reports that is available in Unanet today, along with the prior chart that we showed, which shows the time phase information. Okay. In 9.5, this is the latest release. It was 9.5 that is currently out. It was delivered last, I think, January, February. We now support the ability to show burden costs within your system. And I'm sure that most of you out there know what I am referring to by burden costs. It is all of your direct costs with all of your overhead, G&A, fringe applied to those, both for your labor and for other direct costs on the project. It wasn't until 9.5 that we had the ability to support burden costs on earned value reports. So that is, and actually it's 9.6, isn't it, Sherry? Are you on mute?
Yes, it was 9.6. It's due out this quarter, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. I meant to say 9.6. This is coming out in 9.6. So you'll have the ability to either run on unburdened costs or burdened costs in 9.6, which is due out, let's say, in the next few weeks. It's imminent. And if you've set up the ability to manage burden costs in Unanet in your system, you may have done that. Many of the customers out there today may have done that. You have 3 different rates that you can apply to these calculations, either target, provisional, or actual rates. So you simply choose these options when you run the report, and it will leverage those rates when you display the report. Okay? Questions?
Well, anybody have any questions? I do have some comments here that we've got a very, very clear demonstration, appreciating the examples. Any questions from anybody? You can type in your question box.
So while you're typing, hopefully some people are typing, we're going to send this presentation out to you. So there's probably a mixture of people that already knew most of the information that we provided today, but I'm sure there's a number of people. You may be getting your first $5 million plus contract with the government, and there's some earned value requirement in there. And this presentation might help give you an idea of the types of things that you'll need to do. I would really invite you, and Sherry, maybe we could attach, our primer on earned value that we have. It talks about the 32 criteria of earned value management and how Unanet can be leveraged to support that. It's a really nice document to get you started. So why don't we send that out along with the presentation?
Great. I'll be sending out the presentation as well as the that document, and I have a tip sheet as well. I do have a question from Annie. She's asking, can you import those tasks from MS Project, or do you need to manually key in those tasks?
Yeah, there is an interface in Unanet that allows you to import tasks from Microsoft Project. You may it's done through a mapping file. If you've ever used a Microsoft Project map, you can save the file using the map, which creates a CSV file when you save it, and then that CSV file can in turn be loaded into Unanet. If you go to the help documentation of Unanet and search for Microsoft Project, it actually provides you a link to a mapping file that you can import into your Microsoft Project to do that. So yes, you can import tasks from Microsoft Project.
Great, thanks. I do have a question from Sharon. Hi Sharon, how are you? How do you manage change orders, changes in the budgets, the date ranges, and additional tasks? Do those get folded into a report as they are added?
They do. So in those cases, if you want to see the time phase reports also, you would simply add those tasks to the project, or you would add the changes in the task budgets or the duration of those tasks. And each time you store the snapshot of the budgets, it stores the start date, the end date, the budget, all that information. Okay, so yes, in Unanet you would simply add and then take another budget snapshot, so you don't lose, the previous baseline.
Great. Typing in answers as we speak too. I have a question from Shelley. Shelley's asking if each client who's using Unanet, will you be upgraded, or is there a cost to the upgrade? So depending on what license you have now, if you're using the tracking license or the portfolio license, there is not a cost to upgrade your license type. The only upgrade situation would be if you're a project time license, or there are a few customers that are project expense licenses only. You would need to upgrade your license type to at least the project tracking license to be able to implement the earned value management feature. So depending on what license type you're coming from.
What was the question specifically, though?
Will each client who's using Unanet be upgraded, or is there a cost to the upgrade?
Okay, so and I'm just going to add a little bit to that.
Sure.
If you want to take advantage of earned value in Unanet and your project time or expense, you would upgrade to project tracking. If you just are asking about is there a cost to being upgraded, there is no cost to being upgraded from your current version to the next version, whether you've licensed the software and have it installed on your own servers, or whether you're using our SaaS or on-demand service. Those upgrades are free.
Yeah, for the latest releases that are coming out, yeah, those are free with your maintenance. Your maintenance covers
That's right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting is free. And let's see, let me send this one. Scrolling down. Yes, Erica, I'll be sending out the presentation along with the tip sheet and the EVM document that she referred to after we're done here today. Thanks for attending. There's a question from Amanda. Will we be able to manage who can see burden costs in 9.6? We want to limit it.
Yes, there are a number of features of limiting. First of all, let's talk about the first feature. I'm sure everybody's familiar with a Unanet roles tab on a person's profile. There is a cost rate manager role. If you have the cost rate manager role, you are able to see cost rates for individuals that you are allowed to see. Now you can restrict to a person who you can see in the system also. But if you have that role, you can see costs. Now, If you don't have that role, there's another property setting. It's a global system-wide property setting that says, okay, for people that don't have cost rate manager role, I'm going to allow them to see summary reports only. So they can't drill into those reports to see individual costs of employees. The reason we're asking this question, I presume, is that you don't want people to be able to see people's salaries. And that happens, obviously, with most clients. So there is this property setting that says, okay, I'm going to let this person see some summary level reports, but not drill into the individual costs of employees. So we do have that capability. And that capability is available today. So if you do have more questions about that, you can call our support team or CAM team, and they can tell you how to set that up.
Great, great. Annie says, thank you. John, we will be sending out, even though you had some technical difficulties, we'll be getting out the presentation to you. I also record the presentation today. This is being recorded, and we do post that at the unanet.com recorded-webinar site. And if you'll give us by noon tomorrow, we do get that downloaded, and we have to process it a bit, and then we upload it to that site. Again, www.unanet.com/recorded.webinars. Let's see here. I've got another question. Will Unanet continue to offer these webinars on using the product? And if so, how often? Or do I just continue to check your website? The sessions are very helpful. On the website, thank you, Shelley. Great question. On the website with unanet.com, under the webinar site and under support as well, there's two different ways you can check our schedule for the webinars. We do have them bi-weekly, and we try to, based on your suggestions, pick the topics and train on these topics. Based on our customers' suggestions. So we do offer these bi-weekly. The next one, let's see, is next week actually, however, March 7th, and it is about interfaces, the exporting and importing ability in interfaces. Specifically, we'll talk a little bit about the MS project interface. So stay tuned and make sure you register for that. Let's see. Question. Is there a rate increase if we upgrade from Project Portfolio to Project Portfolio Plus? What that Project Portfolio Plus will be is additional planned licenses that are at a reduced rate. In general, that reduced rate will be for just those planned licenses, and you can buy X number of them, your choice. They'll be approximately about what you would pay for a time license, is what we're being told. So. So you can decide to buy 10 or 15 or 20 planned licenses, and they'll be at a particular rate.
And Sherry, let me add to that. We've heard from customers over the years, if they want to plan resources or TBD, to be determined resources, they would have to buy another license of exactly what they had already purchased from a licensing perspective. So if they were a portfolio license, they'd have to buy 10 TBD licenses, and it didn't seem right. So what we did is create this concept of a planning user. A planning user can only be planned. They're not a real user. You can't enter a timesheet under a user, under a planned user. So you can now purchase these much cheaper planning only resources, and then just plan those in conjunction with your real resources. So I think it's a great enhancement to the system, and we look forward to allowing clients now to really take advantage of the planning feature of the product.
Great. Thanks. Now, I normally don't have the opportunity because I'm always running out of time, but Steve, if you want to advance the slide a bit, I can talk a little bit about our last slides, which we always send out, but I never get to address. Just would continue going, just continuing going where you were.
Let me get back into where I was.
Problem. Or switch screens, either way.
There we go. Sorry.
No, it's no problem.
Right, this one?
Right. So in addition, when I send out this presentation, there are links in here, hyperlinks for the recorded webinar, and also there was a question about the CAM webinar schedule. These links will show you, will get you right to those links on the unanet.com. Again, the first one will be with the recorded version of this webinar and all of our other previously recorded webinars that we've done over the course of the last year, and in addition, our upcoming webinar schedule. And then the next slide is our customer meeting that is in San Diego, sunny San Diego, May 2nd and May 3rd. I really encourage you to try to attend this meeting. It's 2 days. We have a fantastic, I'm actually part of the team that's coming up with the training classes and curriculum. If you use this hyperlink here under registration, you can go to the registration CVent page, but more importantly, you can scroll down to see the breakout agenda as well as the course descriptions of each of the training classes, and take a look there. And if you have any questions at all about what you're seeing there, give us a shout. You can always reach us at cam@unanet.com, and we can answer any specific questions that you may have regarding the course descriptions, the breakout sessions, the different tracks that we're going to be supplying. So I really, really encourage you to not only come for the training classes, but network with other Unanet customers that will be in attendance. So it's great to be able to exchange not only the technical information on the Unanet itself, but best practices and scenarios that have worked for other people, what they've implemented with their Unanets, and that processes in place using the tool to be able to better manage their Unanet and better manage their business, really. So, and I think our last slide is if you'll take just a few moments to fill out the survey. Let us know how we're doing. Did you enjoy the webinar today? Did you learn anything? Do you want to hear back from us? That kind of thing. So again, we really appreciate your time today, and we're going to finish a little bit ahead of schedule. Thank you again. If you have any questions at all, just be sure to email cam@unanet.com, and I will be forwarding the presentation as well as the tip sheet and the document that we referred to today. Thanks. There's no other questions. Have a great afternoon, and thank you again, Steve, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everybody for attending.
Thanks. Have a great day.